So now that you've learned how to set up your own document and you found how to navigate through the settings there and the preferences, and now you understand that this is an artboard, you have bleed settings, you have your workspace all around it. Now let's talk about some other details here about our workspace that we haven't talked about. Now one thing is you'll notice that there's a little, you won't notice, I notice right now because there's a blank spot here, but really there's supposed to be a ruler there. So you hit Command R and you'll see rulers. Those will help you obviously for measuring things, of course, but also inside of these are guides. And these guides, if you click anywhere on the ruler and drag down, you'll see that you can place these guides anywhere. You can do the same thing for the vertical ones. And what these do are these help you, they're just like your own rulers or guidelines that you would make on your artwork if you were drawing it. But the cool thing about this is that you can hide them if you'd like to. You don't always have to see those. I use them just to like align artwork to it, or if I know this is like an area that I'm not supposed to be designing in. You can build custom grids. All that stuff are with these guides. You just click and drag. Great to know. But I would hit Command semicolon and they'll disappear. They're still there, they're just hidden. So if you hit that again, Command semicolon, they'll come back, which is great if you want to see what your art looks like and then kind of have it come out of the way. But if you need to like look back at your guide, go back and see it. Oops, go back and see it. Another thing with these too is if I'm tired of these guides, I don't want these here anymore. If you notice, you can't really manipulate them. So there's two ways you can do it. You can either get rid of them completely by going to View, Guides, and then just clear guides, and that'll just erase them completely. Or you can go to the guides and then just do unlock. So it says locked. If you click on that, it'll unlock them. What that means is you can click on these individually and move them around, or you can just hit delete when you highlighted one and they're gone. Now that's really nice, but if you're going to be working again, like for example, I want to bring this hand around or something like that, or if I want to select a big area, you'll notice that it grabs my guides. I don't like that. So what I want to do is I'll click on these. If this is where I want the guides, then I'll just hit the, I'll go back to my View, Guides, Lock Guides, and now I can't alter those at all. I can still go Command semicolon and have them hidden, but this way I don't like have to maneuver them around. I don't need to edit them anymore, but I can still add more. They'll just be locked as well. So those are super handy. I use them all the time, and it's great that you can hide them. That's probably the best part about them. But you also have something which is just a grid already set up with Illustrator. That you hit Command, comma, and you'll see that you can it'll have a grid already made for you. And if you need to build anything to that, that's awesome. But there's some things that can get kind of annoying if you accidentally hit the wrong keys. And so I'm going to just show you right now so you'll know how to troubleshoot it later. You hit View and it says, right now it says Snap to Grid. Now that can be kind of annoying if you don't want to snap anything to the grid. So let's say if I'm going to take this shape, I'll make a square. You notice how it's fitting immediately. Let's add a color to it. You'll notice immediately that it is snapping to those white lines, those grids. I can't put it in between. I can't like have it halfway in between this grid. I have to have it snapped to one. That's helpful if that's what you need. If not, that can be really annoying. You can take that off, and you can see I can lay this wherever I want. It doesn't have to adhere to the grid at all. But I can go ahead and hide that. And even if I hit it, it would still snap to grid. So sometimes that gets kind of annoying if you don't want it. And you can go ahead and change that, or snap to point, and it'll snap to those separate points. But yeah, so those are your guides, those are your grids, and now you'll notice that I'm kind of bouncing in and out, zooming, enlarging, dragging. Let me explain how you can kind of navigate that, because this will save you a lot of time maneuvering around your workspace. There's these buttons right down here. There's these tools. You have the hand tool and you have the zoom tool, but there's different ways to do each of these. So the way I would do it is let's just talk about the hand tool first. Now the hand tool just helps you drag your artboard around. It doesn't move any of the objects within your artboard, it just moves the artboard. So it changes your view, which is super helpful. And for example, if I wanted to just move this object, it would move it. But maybe I obviously want to drag the whole screen. I don't want to drag this as well. But so I would go down to the hand tool, click and drag, and I can move that around. To get out of the hand tool, and what you'll kind of like your resting tool that you'll be using all the time, your default would be this selection tool. I'll explain selection tools and all these other ones a little bit in more depth in other videos, but just know that if you're trying to go back and you don't want to be using the hand tool anymore, just go to the arrow, this black arrow, and that'll help you deal directly with these specific shapes. So again, hand will move it around, and you can do that also. Oops, I hit Command Z, which brings that image back. Anytime I want to, I might as well say it now. Anytime I have stuff moved around, if I want to bring, if I didn't like what I did, hit Command Z, and you can undo that. But if I want to do this, if I want to drag around and pan around the screen, I can hit the space bar, and that does the exact same thing. It brings up the hand. That's a quick way to shave some time off of your design. There's the zoom tool, which is your magnifying glass here. You can click, it'll zoom in little increments, or you can click, hold it, and drag it, and you can highlight specific areas that you want to look at. If you want to zoom out of this, you can do it incrementally also without having to use that tool. I just hit Command subtract with the minus sign, Command minus, or Command plus, and that'll zoom in. That's a real quick and easy way to use it. You can do it, set the actual increments, the percentage, so you know whatever your size, if it's at 100%, you can kind of see how that'll look at that size, or you can set it huge. But when you're here, if you want to go back, or maybe you're lost and you don't know where you're at in the screen, it may take a little while to go back a million times. So if you go down to this bar again, you can go to fit on screen, and it'll bring everything back to fitting in that screen, which is really handy. And you can do the same thing. If I zoom back in, Command plus, if I hit Command 0, it would bring it all back into my display again, and so it's all within viewable area, which will help. So yeah, so those are just some basic ways to navigate around, and hopefully those shortcuts help. They sure do. When I'm working on a project, I can click, drag, zoom, whatever I need to real fast. So hold on, and we're gonna go ahead and talk a little bit more about all this that you're seeing around you and how you can customize it to fit you and your working methods a lot better, and make your work a lot more seamless, the whole process more seamless. So thank you. We'll see you in the next video.